and his wife wanting to stick with the all that she learned in seminary and high school, how it's so important to help your husband learn, and this and that. She wanted to put it into practice finally. So comes the first Pesach, and there's basically not so much cleaning to do, but they thought it was a lot of cleaning because he never cleaned anything. And he says, how can I help you? He says, you know how you can help me? She thinks of Sarah Schneer, she thinks of Rebbe Kaplan. She says, you can help me by going to the Beis Medrash and learning. So he says, really, what can I do for you? I told you, the way you can help me is by going to the Bet Midrash and learning. So he goes on his way, and he goes to the Beis Medrash and learns. 15 minutes he comes back, 15 minutes later he comes back, and he knocks on the door and she says, what happened? Didn't I tell you that the way of helping me is by sitting and learning? So he says, I did already. How much do you want me to help you already? In this case, we're dealing with the time starting tonight. We're dealing with the time of Nisan, Rosh Chodesh Nisan tonight, and we have 2 weeks stretch for Yetziat Mitzrayim. Right? Their freedom started this week. Ours starts in 2 weeks. What happened? Why were we Zochet Yetziat Mitzrayim? What's the first initial thing that took place to let that thing happen? Well, the truth is there was actually 2 women, a mother and a daughter, one named Shifra and one named Pua. Their real names, as she says, one was Yocheved and one was named Miriam. Yocheved and Miriam was a mother and daughter. And she was the future. No, the mother of Moshe and the sister of Moshe. Very good grandma. And her future was that she was going to have Moshe. But before then, Paro saw that there was a catastrophe in his country. The Jews were taking over. I think everybody had that problem at one time or another. America might start having it too. But bottom line is, in Mitzrayim, he feared that they would get one day there would be a war. And the Jews would join the enemy. They would empty out Mitzrayim and drive them all out. So he called the first act of business after his short meeting with 3 people, Balaam, Yitro, and Eob. But he called a meeting with these 2 midwives, the mother and daughter, which were both midwives. And he says, I have to speak to you. Now imagine being called by the king. He was one of the most powerful kings in the world at that time, if not the most powerful, because since the years of famine, when Yosef made him all powerful with getting him all the riches of all the countries and all the houses, this man was extremely powerful. And now these 2 women are called to him, and he looks them in the eye and he says, listen up, I have a job for you. The second you see a baby be born, you see boy, girl. If it's a boy, make like it died at birth. That's your job. I don't want to look like this dangerous dictator. So I have a small job on the birth stool of Naim, the Pasuk says, on the birth stool right away, before the mother even knows. Just make like it just, the boys aren't working out. Because I saw that there's going to be a boy that will free them all. Okay. They go, officially they're supposed to be on a new job. Says the Pasuk, Vatir'ena et hameyadot Elokim, v'lo asa kasher diber melech Mitzrayim. The midwives feared Hashem, and they did not follow that rule. Vatichayena et hayeladim. And they kept, not only they didn't follow the rule, but they did even better to keep them alive. They powdered them, they straightened them out, they made them cozy, they wrapped them in blankets, they did anything they can to make that baby boy the most beautiful baby boy possible. So, Rav Gifter stops right here before the story moves on, and he says, I don't understand. The Torah just said they had Yirat Shamayim, and that's why they didn't kill. He says, take someone off the street that has no Yirat Shamayim, he doesn't even know Yirat Shamayim is fear of heaven, and tell them, go kill that innocent baby. They would do it? Never. Any person with any decent, humane mindset, I mean, there's a few murderers out there, but not everybody. And you don't have to have Yirat Shamayim to stay away from that crowd. So how does it show Yirat Shamayim? So right away you would think in your mind, well, they're going against the king's orders. But still, Rav Gifter says that's not a good enough answer. He says the Yirat Shamayim is that they stood in a country whose their way was that if something gets in your way, you kill them. And they were living amongst that society. That's the way Egypt ran. If something's in your way, you mow it right over. You kill them, you knock them out. They could have easily picked up the same attitude because they were living on the streets with the Egyptians all day. But since their values were in Yirat Shamayim, since their value system was plugged into what Hashem wants and not what the street teaches, so therefore they wouldn't even think of doing something like that.